Hello everyone, my name is Ashley Grinder and I'm going to talk to you about the Prague Spring. The movement that became known as the Prague Spring of 1968 originally started with attacks on the Czechoslovakian president Antonin Novanty. This was followed by escalating student demonstrations. Novanty found no support in the Communist Party or the army, and in January 1968, Novanty was replaced as first secretary of party by Alexander Dubek. Dubek adopted a reform program in April that increased political freedoms. Over the next 4 months, Dubek worked hard to convince the Soviet Union that Czechoslovakia would remain within the Soviet Union and that there would not be a return to capitalism. Czechoslovakia continued to alarm the Soviet leaders, but on August 20th through 21st, the Soviet troops invaded Czechoslovakia. Dubek demanded the people to not resist. Dubek was arrested and was not officially removed from office until April of 1969 and was expelled from the party in 1970. The invasion of Czechoslovakia did not meet armed resistance. Dubek told the crowds to stay at home, and the Czechoslovakia working class watched as the Russians straightened out the Czechoslovakian affairs. This was an unsuccessful trial and error that caused over 20 years of experience in Czechoslovakia. It is important to note that many people took the advantage of the Prague Spring to migrate to the West. Novanty met with Leonid Brezhnev, who was the Soviet leader at the time, and asked him for help. However, his support was not granted. There were no riots, but students and writers were concerned about the lack of freedom and the plummet of the Czechoslovakia economy. Antonin Novanty was removed from power and Alexander Dubek became the leader of the Communist Party. In April 1968, Dubek's government announced an action plan that would form a new model of socialism. Eventually, this removed state controls over commerce and allowed freedom of speech. Dubek's experiment in communism came to an end after a 6-month period. The Prague discovered a concept of leadership within the liberal reformist movement within the ranks of the Communist Party and declared their support for socialism. The reform movement of 1968 received only submissive support from the working class. This program emphasized on personal and intellectual freedom that reflected its class base. The Czechoslovakians responded to this issue with nonviolent resistance instead of defending themselves through the military. Now I'd like to end with a quote from Leon Trotsky. There are only two possible courses, one toward interventional revolution, the other toward reconciliation with the native middle class. While the right wing was consolidated in the work of defaming the theory of permanent revolution, under cover of the theory of socialism in one country, it is marching towards reconciliation with the native middle class, so in order to protect itself against any convulsions. I chose this in particular quote because it explains a better understanding of socialism and how it was affected in the Prague Spring. Thank you.